kasta oo siyaasi mas'uuliyadda waa inaad qaado mas'uuliyaddana been kuma tahay
markaweeya dunido marna lagu xisaabtamo mas'uul waliba maalintiisu wuxuu meel dhigtaaba taariikh maguurtada mar waliba xusta markaweeya dunido marna lagu xisaabtamo mas'uul waliba maalintiisu wuxuu meel dhigtaaba
We are proud of you, Professor of Anthropology, Oxford University. We are proud of you. You have helped us tell our story. Only that we want to thank you because you have told our story. You are telling the story of Isli. Again, in a very positive way. You know, if you read a book by James Ferguson, The Most Dangerous Place in the World, Somalia. You must have read it. There is a current book by Nuruddin Farah. It's called Crossroad Bones. It's a very famous Somali writer called Nadifa Mohammed. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everybody. First, I want to recognize distinguished guests who are here, members of parliament, our gubernatorial candidate, among many others. The representative, my very good friend from the Star newspapers, our brother and friend from UHNCR, business leaders who are here, religious leaders who are here, and the young people from Isli. And of course, most importantly, Neil, who brought us here for the launch of his book. I think Little Muqadishu is Lee, Nairobi, Global Somali Hub. I'm not read it. So, it becomes very tricky for you to launch a book which you have not read. Maybe one chapter is talking about Honorable Duale. I was asking myself, the whole night, Neil, I was trying to look for what are the main features of your book. But this is how books are launched. You launch the book, then you ask the writer to sign a copy for you, and then you go and read it. So we are here to launch that book. And I think, as he said, the history of the Somali community in Isli goes down to pre-colonial period. If you read that, we were there before the colonialists, we were there during the colonialists. And in fact, the colonial powers then had a special or privileged incentives for the Somalis who are living in Isli, that the British colonial powers. And if you read an article on the 19th of this month by a very famous columnist called Wairiki, and he was talking about Honorable Junet and myself, and he was talking about the Cushitic. It was an article that was really profiling us. It was not a very good article. But in that article, he was talking about that the Somali community, the Cushites, and their superiority and pride and all that. And he said in conclusion of his article, which I have saved somewhere, should be used it for when I write about my history. So the Somalis then, during the colonial period, he cited in his article that they enjoyed certain privileges that other colonial subjects were not enjoying. So our history goes back to those days. Then we have our history of the independent Kenya. You know, when we came, when we found the Somalis in Isli, those coming from Isiolo, from Garissa, Wajir, any part of this country, the first place they will land as their home was Isli. And that's how Isli came up as a Somali hub. He'll board a bus from Isiolo, but he'll make sure that bus, stops at Isli. He looks for a lodge, sleeps there, eats the Somali food, goes to Gikomba or goes to Biashara Street, buys his merchandise, and then goes back to his home. So that's how the Somalis, even us who were students in the 90s, the only day we get off from school, whether it was, I went to a school not very far from here called Moifos Academy. But those who were in Srehe, Moifos Academy, all the schools, when the rest of the other Kenyans go home, as we used to come to Isli. At least in Isli we'll find our next of kin from the north. We used to hang around the bus stage. We could eat our Somali food, get the camel milk. So it has been the epicenter of the Somali community in the whole country. Today we have 18 constituencies in the north, predominantly by the Somali community. From my constituency, which is the gateway in northeastern, to the far end of Honorable Mahmoud in Takaba. All those 18 constituencies have very strong of their voters in Isli. That's why, when I say I am also the member of parliament for Isli apart from Yusuf Hassan, I have some legality. The only problem is when the voting today comes, they go back, so they don't vote for Yusuf Hassan. But as we stand here today, in the streets, each member of parliament from the Somali community anywhere in Kenya has some voters. So I thought your title will be Isli Small Northeastern. That will have been a title, but you did it better because, and we will not shy away from it. We live in the Horn of Africa. We live in the Horn of Africa. And in the Horn of Africa, again, the headquarters of the Somali community is Muqadishu. So by also calling it Little Muqadishu, you have not committed any crime. We are in Ethiopia in large number. We are in Djibouti. We are in Somalia, of course, the whole of Somalia, and we are in Kenya. So in fact, if you do a proper Horn of Africa arithmetically in terms of ethnic bloc, I think we are maybe second or first in terms of numbers. We are the only community that, its presence is felt in all the countries in the Horn of Africa. You go to Sudan, there's a huge Somali diaspora, both south and north. You go to South Africa, and I was telling Peter, somebody that I should fly this week to Joburg and start making sure the Kenyan Somalis who live in Joburg register as voters. Because we have a huge block for Jubilee, for Somali. So I was telling the IBC, now, will you allow me? I need to go to Uganda, and look for the Somalis in Uganda, in Rwanda, in Burundi, in South Africa, in Tanzania, so that we ask our people to vote for that. So Isli now has grown. Whether Peter or this time we are serious. We will have a Jubilee governor here, inshallah. And that's why you want, when Peter comes, his first priority, if he wins, he's one of our candidates, that Isli should not be discriminated in terms of government investment, both the county and the national. In terms of infrastructure, they pay taxes like other Kenyans. But I'm sure the Jubilee government, the way we have done the roads, we have now improved 2.5 years down the line. Isli now is very peaceful. I'm sure the elders will tell me. But the most important thing I want to say here before I conclude is that there are people, and we really want, it's good that the star, a critical representative of the media, the star is here. You know, there's a culture in this country of profiling the Somali community. It's not a government agenda, but the media tend to profile us. You know, after even producing the first Muslim foreign minister, female, after producing the first leader of majority, we are still being profiled. You know, these guys are not good people. You know, these guys. And you know, they really wanted to chase us from Nairobi. But we left Isli. Now we are in Westlands. We are in South C and South B. We are in Karen. We are everywhere. And you know, like nomads are, we will not sit and, you know, one place. So those who thought, you know, they'll just keep us in Isli, now they find us in other places. There's no place in Nairobi you go and you not find a Somali. Even at the universities, 20-25% of the students in Kenyan universities are Somalis. Any class, from PhD to masters to undergraduate. Parliament, we were 11 people, Honorable Mahmoud and Honorable Peter, no, we were 11 members of parliament. Today we are 29. Peter used to tell me that you guys are very strategic. When we used to have, if you can remember, when we used to have a cup of tea in parliament, last parliament, he used to tell me, in every commission, you guys are there. But you know, in this world, unless you have a plan and you have a strategy, your community will face a serious distinction. So as much as we build one nation, one country, one united, peaceful Kenya, for you to achieve that, you must make sure the blocks that make Kenya are also cohesive and they have their space in the country. We want the Somalis to be very comfortable in working and living with the Kikuyus, with the Kalenjins, with the Luos, so that all of us together, despite our diversity, despite our religious difference, despite our cultural difference, despite our ethnic difference, we all ascribe to one Kenya. And I'm sure that is where we are heading. So, something like that. You know, I sometimes read the Somali books on Somalia, in the Somali community. But if there's a man like you who did a good book, is Lewis. And in many things, Lewis talks about the history of the Somalis. Lewis says the boundary of a Somali, Peter, stops where the camel turns back. He says Somali's boundary is where the camel cannot survive. So the camel, we move with the camel. If we go to Mount Kenya, so cold, then the camel turns back. That's where we put our beacon. We say that is the end of our boundary. So Lewis is famous for is one guy like you who has really profiled the Somali community in a very, very positive way. And there are many, many, many others. So without much to say, Little Muqadishu, Isli, we have, you know, we have the best malls, we have the best hotels, we have the best business in Isli. My advice now to the Somali business community is that even you must also change with the time. You know, you must make your malls very accommodative. They must have, you know, basement parking. You can't build a mall with no parking. You know, you must have parking where people can come. You must have your restaurants, you know, in a very clean environment. I mean, making the area clean is also a responsibility of the people who live there. So that I can work with my colleagues who are not Somalis. We come to a restaurant, you know, we have a nice meal. Or you come, park your car at the basement of Amal or any of the other malls. You do your shopping. The prices are very good. The goods are you get variance in terms of what you want. So but even the community, I think, needs to take a very big role in making the Isli hub very safe. You must deal with the gangs. You have gangs in Isli. You must deal with the gangs, you know, who are stealing from the poor old ladies. But I'm sure in terms of the last 2 years, we have really, this government has really improved the security of Isli. And more fundamentally, I really want to thank Honorable Yusuf. He contributed a lot to the infrastructure. He works every morning. He comes to my office and he says, I can't get this minister, please help us. We will work with you. Now with Yusuf, now we have a political identity. You know, we have now a member of parliament of the Somali diaspora in Nairobi. And I'm sure that's why Peter and many other people, we want to thank the president, because it's with our vote, we can't win Kamkunji. But the president, since Yusuf came through a by-election, he has been very firm and says, no, we need to build a Kenya where everybody is given an opportunity. And let's give our votes, those of us where, let's elect a Somali member of parliament. So, take this opportunity to thank him. The by-election, the 2013 general election, Yusuf was in hospital. He didn't campaign. He was in Aden hospital after the bomb attack. But you know, we went out of our way and we gave him, the people gave him the votes. We expect Yusuf that you'll take that appreciation from other Kenyans who also vote for you. Because of course, Kenyan politics is also ethnically inclined, but that you have transcended. Thank you very much. I think this is a very good book, Neil, and I wish you all the best.